Welcome to Westchester Hills School 29. My name is Steve Murphy, and I'm the proud principal of this school, beginning my 10th year at this location and my 19th year serving in the Yonkers Public Schools. This morning, I welcome the City of Yonkers Mayor, Mayor Mike Spano, New York State Senator Shelley Mayer, Majority Leader Tasha Diaz, Majority Whip John Rubo, Board Trustee Vice President Dr. Rosalbo Corrado Del Vecchio, Trustees Burns and Greenwald, our Interim School Superintendent Dr. Luis Rodriguez, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education Ms. Rose Judan, Yonkers Police Commissioner Captain Christopher Sapienza, and DPW Commissioner Mayer. Honored guests, my administrative team, members of our community, colleagues, students, and with reverence, the Sullivan family. Miss Eileen Sullivan, along with her son, William III, and daughter Jax, known to us as Jax, you all as Jacqueline, and Will's wife Jessica, and Jax's husband Tony. Welcome to our dedication flag ceremony in honor of Detective William Sullivan, known to all of us simply as Sully. As principal, I am honored that our new flagpole be dedicated to such a man of his caliber, citizenship, patriotism, and for his longtime commitment to the Yonkers Police Department and the entire Yonkers community. At this time, I ask you to please stand for the presentation of colors, followed by our national anthem sung by YPD Officer Virginia Creary. Detail, attend, carry, colors.
Mosaic, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight more the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Most say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, more the land of the free, man the home of the brave.
At this time, I would ask Miss Jacqueline Sullivan Celine to please come forward for the reading of Detective Sullivan's biography. Jax.
Good morning, everyone. Detective William J. Sullivan, Jr. was born and raised in Yonkers. He was the second of 3 children of William and Marie Sullivan. His Irish roots trace back to his great-grandparents from the countries of Cork and Leitrim. Better known as Sully, he was homegrown in Yonkers and attended Sacred Heart High School. After graduating Sacred Heart, he went to work for his family business, Sullivan & Son Building Materials and Fuel Oil. After working for the family business, he changed careers in 1995 when he joined the Yonkers Police Department and was assigned Shield 893. Upon the completion of the Westchester Police Academy, Sully was assigned to the 4th Precinct. He worked in the 4th Precinct for over 10 years. While assigned there, he was elected a PBA trustee and was unanimously re-elected by his coworkers at the 4th Precinct several times. Sully served as a mentor to the younger officers and was admired by his coworkers and in his beloved 4th Precinct. It was his home away from home. He was then elected as the Sergeant at Arms on the PBA board, which again, he was unanimously re-elected to his post by his peers throughout the department for several years. He was promoted to detective in 2006 and assigned the Shield 693. When assigned to the detective division in the Major Case Squad 1, he honed in his interview skills with his natural knack of talking to people. He was open and accepting to all. He had an incredible way of relating to people, which made him an amazing detective. You would always want him to be on your case if you knew him, just because of the amount of time and compassion that he put into it. He was then transferred to the SIU, also known as the Special Investigations Unit or the Intelligence Unit, that's where he ended his career. He was He was also a member of the Fraternal Order of Police, the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Westchester, and a proud member of the Police Emerald Society of Westchester, where again he was recognized, not just for his positions, but also with numerous awards. It's important to know that Detective William J. Sullivan was not only a police officer, but a family man. He was my father. He was married to my beautiful mother, shy of 30 days, 11 days shy of 30 years. I'm so sorry. He had myself and my brother, William, his greatest blessings, as he would say, not to brag. He was so excited when we decided to continue working in Yonkers and giving back to our community. I work here as a special education teacher at School 29. My brother is a K-9 officer for the Yonkers Police Department. When he met my husband, Tony, he was so excited that he too was an officer, and that when he met Jessica, she then became a teacher. We love to give back to our community, and it's certainly something that we learned from our parents. My dad will never be forgotten. He was a mentor, a gentleman, and we also considered him to be a scholar with the many things that he was knowledgeable about and the way he conducted himself. He made all of us better, and we miss him every day. Detective First Grade William Sullivan, Shield 693 of the Yonkers Police Department, passed away in the performance of duty. His end of watch was April 11th, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Jax, for your beautiful words and sentiments, as always. There'll be several people making their remarks today. We're going to start with Mayor Mike Spano, followed by Eileen Sullivan, then Christopher Sapienza, Dr. Rosalba Corrado Del Vecchio, and ending with Dr. Luis Rodriguez. I would ask you to kindly please follow that order as you start. And let me first introduce our mayor, Mayor Mike Spano.
Principal Murphy, now you think in time these things get easier, and I feel like with the passing of Bill, I feel like it's gotten the opposite for me. I think in large part because Cal's here, we always talk about how we just didn't think it should have happened, and we're always so shocked. Principal Murphy, to the administrators, to the superintendent of schools, our trustees that are here today, our police officers that are here today, to our parents, PTA, the kids that are all a part of today's celebration of an incredible man's life. I've known Bill Sullivan my entire life. I can think of the times when we were 15 and how we would talk about, the Sullivan Son Fuel Company and the Spano Fuel Company and the competition that was there, and and the history that was there, and his history, even in politics, his family, and his grandfather being an alderman, right? And Sullivan's Oval being named after the Sullivan family. There's so much rich history in the Sullivan family. It's something that Billy certainly wouldn't have bragged about, but it's all there. And I always remember my best memories of Billy. Obviously, were especially when we were in high school, and he would pull up in his brown Nova, right? And did he have that Nova? Do you guys remember that Nova? Did he keep it around? Yeah, well, he had that brown Nova. Always pulled in, always took the back parking spot so nobody would even touch it or get close to it. And he always worked 3 jobs, right? Sully always wanted to work. It's like he was working at Sullivan. He was working here. He was working there. He was working at the rink, which, Eileen, you're working there now, right? And it's so appropriate that you're there, because that was so much of your life was at that rink. Of your lives was at rink in Jackson and William, with hockey and with skating. And he was so proud of you guys, Jax is like, he's telling me, she's got scholarships here and scholarships there, and she's, and William, you did have a little bit of scholarships here and there, not as much as Jax. But certainly a star athlete, and was at school playing basketball, but was just a great all-around athlete, and I couldn't get my kids to score on him ever because he was playing goaltender. I've had this amazing relationship with this guy that I just have known my whole life, and he was just a regular guy who just wanted to do the right thing all the time. And one day, there were several members of the intelligence unit were retiring, and they were checking their numbers because they needed to retire, right? And I said to Billy, Billy, you've been here a long time. Matter of fact, I think as a summer special, I think he holds the record for being a summer special as long as he was. But I said, so what's your plan? He goes, I'm not looking at those numbers. I said, he goes, oh, no. If I look at those numbers, I might have to retire. I'm not looking at those numbers. I don't want to retire. I said, how come you don't want to retire? He said, because I'm living the dream. Every day, he said, I'm living the dream. Every day, I got to see him every single day, because I got to live the later part of my life with him every day. And so when I think about my life with the Sullivan, I know it's not about me today, it's about Billy, but I think that I'm trying to tell you a story through my life with Billy. I think of someone who was kind and gentle, committed, loved his family more than anything in the world, loved his job, was always willing to go above and beyond, never once would say no, didn't care if they were going to pay him or not. All he cared about was wanting to be there and be a part of things and making sure that, like I said, he was special. And every police officer out there knows that. They know Bill Sullivan. He could be sitting having dinner like he did on Park Hill when that shooting took place with our officers right off Park Hill. And you guys, I think, were having dinner at Chow's or something. And I think he was like the second or third officer at the scene. He wasn't even working that day. But that was the commitment that he had to this community. I miss him. He certainly was one of the highlights of being mayor, was getting to work with that man. And when I think about the pain associated with losing someone like him, this was one of the highlights that is on the negative side. Your family, you miss him. We all miss him. The police department misses him. Yonkers misses him. We love him, and I know that he is just smiling down on us today, looking at this and saying, hey, you know what? This is good. Living the dream. Right, Billy? And so, God bless you, and thank you for letting me share in today's celebration of Billy's life.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Spano, for always being the person you are. As a mayor, he holds a lot in this city, as we know, with his title, but more so as an individual, as you just saw. That's the real side of your mayor. And it's not just with my husband. That's with everybody, if you really know him. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for being here. As others have spoken, I want to thank Principal Murphy and his staff, along with the mayor, the deputy mayors, the board people who are here for the Yonkers Public Schools. It's so important as a community that you come out to things like this, and nobody makes you do it, the same way nobody ever made my husband do it. He was the first one up and ready to go. I'll give you a little bit of that after. Up and ready to go, but at the end of the day, when I look around at all the faces, I see all the police officers. I want to thank the Yonkers Police Department, our fabulous commissioner, Commissioner Sapienza, who my husband attended the academy with. So it's such an honor that he's here today as well. And I'm sure not just as the commissioner, but also as Sully's friend, along with the PBA, the Honor Guard. There's just so much that goes into planning something like this. And when I got the phone call from a gentleman named Michael Policcio with the Yonkers Public Schools, he's now the facilities director, I believe. Funny thing, back to the day, Mike was one of my nemesis at the rink who tortured Bill and I while we were dating and kept saying to me, you need to get out of the DJ booth because I'm hanging out with Bill. And I'm like, no, you're not. Who are you? But over the years, we became such really good friends, and they went roller skating all over New York State, Long Island together, and every other thing. So when he called me and I found out that he had this job, I was like, wow, what a connection. There's another sign from my husband saying it's going to be okay. Mike's going to help you with this. And sure enough, as soon as I pulled in, he was right there at the car window, gave me that few minutes to gather myself and park my car. But more importantly, we're here today for this beautiful flagpole that is being dedicated in memory of my husband. I cannot tell you all how fitting that tribute is, due to the fact that once we purchased our home, because we did live in an apartment for 15 years here in Yonkers, Bill was born and raised in Yonkers and was never leaving Yonkers. It was not even in the cards, don't ask me, we're finding a house in Yonkers. I said, okay, and we did. My daughter went to St. John the Baptist. William started there, but William finished up school with going to School 15 and then was a fabulous graduate of Saunders High School, where he met his beautiful wife, Jessica, who also graduated there and is now a teacher there. And we now have Anthony Celine, my son-in-law Tony, who is also an officer. Bill was very proud when he met Tony and found out he was a police officer, and I was like, what's the difference? He goes, oh, he's good. I said, okay, he's good. We'll find out. But he knew right away, and so did I. But back on the schedule today, because I don't want to be too lengthy, because Cal will get upset. That was my husband's lieutenant and dear friend. So they were all in the units together. So everything in this city, I guess what I'm trying to say is everyone comes together as a group. So we have the mayor, we have the fabulous council members, and they're not just there in those titles, they're there because they really care. And they bring so much together. There might be differences at times, but at the end of the day, everybody comes together to do the right thing. Today, this is so humbling, and that was my husband. He was kind, and he was humble. As the mayor said, he probably wouldn't like this, but due to the fact that it's the flag, I think he would really like this. Bill always talked about once we had our home, he wanted to put a flagpole on the front lawn. And I used to say, wow, really? And he goes, yeah, don't you think that'd be great? And I have to say, a few months before Bill passed, on Seminary Avenue, one of our neighbors put a flagpole up. And they had the lights shining on. He goes, oh, thank God they put the lights. They didn't want to have to ring their doorbell and tell them, you need the lights on the flag. And I was like, oh, my God, you're not going to do that. He goes, I would if they didn't have the lights. So as my children were growing up, and we were very proud of both of them, my son Will is also part of the Honor Guard, which I know from the second he was doing that, Bill was there. And he was very proud of you, William, because Dad was the most patriotic person you could ever meet. He would tell you he's living the dream, but he's living the dream in a country that is free to do what you choose to do. And it gives you everything you want and you need in your life. You just have to go for it. So when he would see you and he would say he's living the dream, it was his dream, his choice, where he wanted to live, where he wanted to work. But he never forgot about his community at large. Always took care of everybody. I have to tell you, to this day, it is going on 3.5 years. Unbelievably, October 11th will be 3.5 years. And I still go places and people stop me and they're like, oh, your husband did this for me. Your husband did that for me. It's amazing. And it's not shocking because I know how he was, because I was with him since we were 15 years old. So it's a long time, and it was a lot of good years. So it's a lot of times when people say to me, how are you doing, Eileen? I'm doing as good as I can do. My children are both married. I'm very blessed that they both have really good jobs in a community that they choose to work in and serve, as I do. And I think more overly, my husband would be very proud of where they are today in their lives. It's a good point. Yes, we miss him terribly. But I tell people, as much pain as I have in that, I was the one that was lucky. I had 30 years, 11 days shy of 30 years of a marriage that was amazing. Every day was more amazing than the next. And I wish that for my children. I told them all that. There's not much else you can do in life but get that person who could be your other person. Bill, as the mayor told you, never said no to anyone. I mean, there were times I could tell you we were on the way to a wedding. We're all dressed. We had to be at the church at a certain time, and somebody was broken down the road. Of course, we pull over. I go, Bill, we're going to be late. He goes, you can't leave people on the road like this. And after he said it, I felt ridiculous for saying what I said. So, of course, he got out of the car, gave us the suit jacket, pumped up the tires, did what he had to do, and helped the person get off the road. That's Bill. Never, ever stopped helping. So when you think about your lives and you look at a flag, think about all the freedoms we have here, not just in Yonkers, in the whole entire United States. We have a lot of freedoms that other people don't have. And those freedoms are there for people like my husband and his police department. They make sure that we're all okay and we get to live our lives in a safe community. Yonkers, by far, is one of the safest cities, as we all know, and that's due to that department that my husband worked for, bragged about, loved, and lived every minute of it. And like the mayor said, there were days he was in work and he shouldn't have been in work, but he was there. Why? Because he cared that much. That radio was never off. I don't miss that, I have to say. Especially now that my son's working, I don't want to know what's going on. But Bill had it on all the time because he needed to make sure everybody was in check, and does he have to be somewhere? All good things. Now to the school. I used to work for the Yonkers Public Schools, and after my husband died, I did not go back. And I don't regret it. I miss it sometimes because of the camaraderie and helping children, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But I do have that at the skating rink where I work, and I do have our beautiful flagpole there as well. And it saddens me on the days that we have to raise the flag to half-staff. And I remember sometimes the kids in school would say, Mrs. Sullivan, why is the flag at half-staff? And I would have to say, somebody passed away. It's in honor of this day. It's in honor of that day. You know, just to make them understand. So at this school, I pray each day that that flag stays high and flying in its brightness and giving us all the hope for tomorrow. Because what else do we have? The one thing I'll leave you with is we did not get to have the, not proper funeral, but a funeral that normal people have. But not just the Yonkers Police Department. I never got to say this, but the entire streets from the funeral parlor where they moved his body to his resting place were lined, not just with the Yonkers Police Department. I think every single solitary department had a car there. And it just shows you the power of love and respect that these police officers have for everyone. And losing one of their own, I think, was very difficult for all of them, as it is for all of us. But the one main thing that I remember so full were the fire trucks that had the flag hanging down on Nepean Avenue. And we had to wait because we were processing in. And just the way the wind was taking that, it really calmed me down because I thought about my husband, who never left the house without his Intel pin and his American flag, as the mayor will tell you, on his lapel. He was very proud to be an American. He trained my children to sing the national anthem at a very young age. If you're ever on my Facebook, I do have William doing that. He was maybe 3, but he did a good job. They knew the Pledge of Allegiance from the time they could talk and the importance of it. Flags are important. Our community as a whole has a lot of respect for the American flag, not just here, all throughout Yonkers. When I worked at St. Anthony's, our children used to put the flags at the cemetery for all of the veterans which was a beautiful thing, and I know it's done throughout Yonkers. So when you look at a flag, think of Bill's bright blue eyes, as I do, and think of the stars in his eyes of how proud he is of everybody that represents him and what he did for his whole life. And I want to thank my children, Jacqueline, Tony, William, and Jessica, for being my rock, all 4 of you. And I thank everyone for coming out today. I know it's very warm, and I do talk too much. I'm sorry. But thank you also to School 29 for having this honor here today, which was given by everybody's blessings that's here. I know a lot of you are here because you loved Bill. That means more to me than anything in the world, and I can't thank you all enough. Everybody have a great day, and please, remember, you are loved.
Good morning. So I knew Bill for 29 years as a police officer. I knew him years before that, growing up in Dunwoody. I knew him from the neighborhood with my family. And everybody who knew Bill knew that he was a senior cop before he was a senior cop. And when we were in the academy, I remember one of our instructors came into the classroom and presented him with a life-saving award that's in that picture, the red and white bar that's on his chest, because he'd saved the life of a baby before he was even a police officer as a summer special working for the county. And they gave him that honor while we're in the academy. And I said, who is this guy that's been here for 3 weeks? He looks 20 years older than me, and he's already winning awards. So that was Bill, and he was always the senior guy. He was always commanding respect, and he was always the best cop, the most professional. Everybody looked to him. As a union leader, as a fellow union leader, he was the best. He understood how to deal with people. And you know, he would shake me with that vice grip of a handshake from working at Sullivan and Sons, you know, from lifting plywood all day. And he put a different spin on it for me. Instead of saying he's living the dream, he'd say, I'm living in the city of gracious living. What's not to like? And you know, he would salute me. I was a sergeant at the time, and he would salute me. I'd say, Bill, I've known you for years. Why are you saluting me? But that's how professional he was. So again, I think it's very befitting that this flagpole is dedicated to him. He was the best citizen I knew, the best American citizen I knew. And I can't think of anything better for him. Thank you to Eileen and Will. And Will, don't take any garbage from the mayor. I'm sure you were great academically. You're doing a great job in Cana. I think your father would be very proud of you. But thank you, and thanks you for the family for having us, and thank you for the school for doing this.
Good morning to each of you. On behalf of President Lopez, President of the Yonkers Board of Education, of the trustees who are here today, Trustee Gail Burns and Sheila Greenwald, and I see Trustee Rosemary Linton there, and all the trustees of the Yonkers Board of Education, we extend our greetings and embrace you, Mrs. Sullivan, you, Jacqueline, and you, William. To each member of your family. This past Monday, Trustee Burns shared with Trustee Greenwald and me some of our memories, some poignant snapshots of Detective William J. Sullivan, Jr., or as she called him, Sully. And what was so vivid for us was an exemplary life of service and pride in his family and the city he served. Trustee Burns echoed Mayor Spano's press release for me, which mentions that Detective Sullivan was a mentor to his fellow junior officers in the Yonkers Public Police Department. So we got to know him through their memories, And this morning, we got to know him even more through your memories that you shared. As a man of immense dedication to his family, to his fellow officers, to the city of Yonkers, to the community at large. Yes, service and mentorship and pride in Yonkers, following his family's tradition of service for a very long time. We are blessed to be part of this celebration of his life, and the flagpole at this school will be forever a symbol, a reminder of an exceptional life of proud service and mentorship. I believe he's now smiling at us from above on this beautiful day. I believe it as a woman of faith. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Spano, Deputy Mayor Landy, Senator Mayer, Councilwoman Diaz, Mr. Rubo, Trustees Del Vecchio, Linton, Greenwald, Burns, to our illustrious Commissioner Sapienza, Vice President, Chaplain Carter, to Principal Murphy, and to Rose Collins Judan and the Central Office administrators that are here today as well. Most especially to the Sullivan family and the entire Westchester Hills 29 learning community. Today is October 4th, and those of you who know me know that I'm a little bit of a history buff, and so I was thinking this morning that October 4th, 1965 was the day that Pope Paul VI became the first pope to visit the Western Hemisphere as he addressed the UN General Assembly. And so I thought, what a fitting day on which to acknowledge this very, very special human being. And although I never had the honor of meeting him, I've learned that Detective William J. Sullivan Jr. exemplified a life of service to others. The progeny of a family with deep roots in Yonkers and deep roots in community. Detective Sullivan, or Sully as he's been referred to, served with both honor and distinction in various roles that included law enforcement officer, mentor, 4th Precinct trustee, sergeant at arms, and board member of the PBA. And despite such impressive career accomplishments, one of the things that most impressed me about this extraordinary leader is the fact that he donated either blood or blood platelets on a monthly basis. What a consequential act of both gallantry and selflessness. Though through recognizing this symbol of Detective Sullivan's love of and dedication to community, this extraordinary son of Yonkers will continue to inspire generations to come who will learn about the man in whose honor we dedicate this flagpole. In closing, I'd like to borrow the words of an Irish prayer, which I think is appropriate to today's ceremony honoring the legacy of Detective William J. Sullivan Jr. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Thank you to all of our key speakers. Your words were just beautiful and so well put. At this time, I'd ask the family to please come forward for the unveiling of the plaque. I'd like to now turn it over to the YPD Honor Color Guard, which will also be led by William III, Detective Sullivan's son. I would also ask that those who are holding a flag, as you come forward, to please place the flag around the area of the stone or anywhere that you see fit. Thank you.
Detail, on 10, who? Kyrie, colors. Officer Sullivan, raise the flag.
Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Present. Arms.
Order! Up!
I would like to now call forward Reverend Melvina Carter, the YPD chaplain, for the benediction.
Let us pray. God of love and liberty, today we give you honor for the sacrifice represented by this flag and the service rendered by Detective William J. Sullivan, Jr. We give you thanks for the opportunity to come together and remember the incredible life of Detective Sully. May we always be reminded of his legacy and love for service. May what has transpired here today remain etched in the hearts of his family, police family, and friends. And Lord, as we prepare to leave this place, we pray that you will keep us in your divine care and help us to serve each other with humility and sincerity. Let your protection and peace surround us now. We ask your blessings upon the Sullivan family and friends, the city of Yonkers, our police department, and PS 29. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
If I could ask people to come forward now to please place their flag in the area by the stone and the plaque and in the ground, and that will conclude our ceremony after that. There are light refreshments for those who would like to stay. Thank you all so much.